Well, hello friends, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here, and welcome to my backyard. It is another wonderful summer day. In fact, I probably should have put a hat on or something because it is just beautiful and warm. And I thought, you know what, time to take some recyclables back. I've got 18 bottles of whiskey here that I'm going to try to very quickly give you kind of a sense of would I buy that again, would I not? 3, 4. Thanks for staying with me through the opener, and I need to give a little more credit. You know, Roy with Aqvavitae does V-Pubs Live Thursday night, and he started the idea of kind of talking about bottles as he's bringing them into the recycle bin, and it's a great idea, and I've continued to follow in his footsteps, but Roy's the real deal, and if you haven't checked him out, look him up. Aqvavitae really drinks a really fine assortment of Scotch. So I've got some bourbons, I've got one Irish, some Scotch, and then a fair amount of Canadian. So we'll get right in. We're going to start with an iconic bourbon. This is Eagle Rare by Buffalo Trace. This one still carries the age stamp right in the back, aged 10 years, bottled at 45%. And, you know, this is a great bottle. I will say, I experienced a palate shift in the middle of this bottle. I was coming down, really enjoying, you know, the spice and the oak. Just thinking this is just a great bottle, and then somewhere in the middle it got a little bit bitter as I was drinking it against other bourbons, and I was trying to remember what bourbon it was. Even just the simpler Elijah Craig and whatnot. Eventually though, either I went through that emotional shift or what it was, and the bottle finished well. Look, Eagle Rare is great, and I'm sure I'll buy another bottle. This one was a surprise for me. This is Long Branch Wild Turkey. It was, you know, with their, what's Matthew McConaughey's title? I was going to say marketing, but he's something else, brand. I can't remember. But, you know, Eddie Russell and Matthew McConaughey got together. And what's unique about this is the Texas mesquite wood, I believe, that brought to this charcoal refinement process. It's bottled a little lighter at 43%. And, you know, really nice decanter, heavy bottle. I'm not a big fan of celebrity whiskey, and this one is lighter, gentle, a little bit toward Basil Hayden, which a lot of bourbon people really don't like. So I'm giving it caveats. For some reason, I kind of like this bottle. It's priced where I won't buy it again. I'd rather just have Wild Turkey for considerably less, but I don't regret buying it, but I won't buy it again. All right, I can do these two at the same time. They're not bourbon, they're ryes. So I've got the 1776 regular rye and the 1776 barrel proof rye. These are sourced, right? It's not from their distillery, even though they have one up and running now. This is a pretty bold and spicy rye. And I'm told that the only difference between this 50% and this 57.3% is just that they've added more water to this one. I don't know if it's mental or what, but this barrel proof just was more exciting to me. Even putting a bit of water on it or pouring it over ice, it just seemed to pick up a little darker pepper for me, and I like this more. And when I see it again, obviously I saw these both on a clearance at Wine and Beyond. If I see this on clearance again, I'll buy this. If I see this, I probably won't. Kind of a weird distinction. So no, but yeah, I would buy this one again. And last, American whiskey. So this one, if you're a viewer of the channel, you'll know that I like Old Ezra 7-year-old barrel strength. This one's the one released at 58.5%. Another sourced. It does mention charcoal mellowing, but I didn't really get a lot of that mellowing sweet oak that I sometimes get with charcoal filtering. Instead, this one just, to me, stood up. Even in blinds, I continued to pick it kind of one or two in my tastings. For some reason, this profile is really good for my palate. Nice amount of spice, but a little bit of cherry fruit, and of course some really nice oak. So I will definitely look for another Old Ezra 7. This release, if I see it on a good price, I'd buy it again. All right, that's all my American whiskey. So I'm going to go over to Ireland. I only have one. This is the Sexton. It is an Irish single malt. I was going to say, was it single grain? No, single malt. Bottled at only 40%. And the woman distiller behind this, tell me on here. Forgetting her name. I'll try to add her in. But I know that she worked at Bushmills. And then I think this was a team up where she was able to use the stills there or something. There's stuff I don't really know. But there seems to be a very close relationship between her work and this release. And, you know, it does say breathing cask, once filled sherry. So it talks about, you know, first fill sherry. There was a lot of aromatic floral sherry in this bottle for me. Looking at other reviewers online, I think many people really appreciate that. This one for me, it was too close on that edge of potpourri floral. And took me a while to adjust to, and I could, and then I appreciated the spirit. But it was just off enough for me that even though it's a good value and it's definitely fresh sherry, I'm not buying it again. As always, just my opinion, you guys. All right, now I've got a bunch of Scotch to go through. Let's do a couple of 12-year-olds. This is Glengarry, released at 48, I believe. 48%. It is a single malt. This one does have bourbon and sherry casking in it, and it's non-chill filtered. Now, I think this one was colored, which was too bad. Like, why would you color it? A few years back, I tried it, and it didn't really interest me. And now coming back to it, I enjoyed this bottle all the way through. It had just the right amount of sherry, never overpowered, but still had some really nice vanillas, caramels that I thought was coming from the ex-bourbon. But it never went away from just a solid malt. I think you would know it was a single malt. So this is a great value and a great bottle, and I will buy it again. Now here's another 12-year-old that's also very good. This is Deanston, bottled at 46.3%. Now this one I think is natural all the way, unchill filtered and non-colored. It's just ex-bourbon, and when I first got into this bottle, I would have picked it quite a bit over the Glengarry. It's a little more expensive in my area, but it's still a good value. Then when I tried the Glengarry, because I had it after this one, like kind of came into it after, I really appreciated the little bit of additional sherry. But as a really well done, almost a fresh bourbon casking, right? So you still got some nice cut fruits, good malt core, and then I thought some fresh ex-bourbon. This is a good bottle, and I definitely will be looking for Deanston. Now I will say the price of this has gone up a little bit, and the virgin oak, which has some of this core characteristic, it's a little rougher, it is, but it brings out some nice oak, and it's significantly less money, and it's still, you recognize it as a Deanston. I might replace this just with a virgin oak. We'll see. But this is worth buying again. All right. Okay. So Dewars, this is their double 21-year-old, and I think it got one or two with Whiskey Advocate last year. And I really like this. In fact, I really like it. That's a half bottle. Very affordable in my neighborhood. Really priced well. Released at 46%. I'm not going to go through all the bottlings. If you want to know more about it, check out my review. I don't mean bottlings, caskings, and how they get to 4, like double aging. But the point is, it goes through a fair amount of wood treatment and is finished in some pretty fresh Oloroso. This one, to me, is way better opened up. I liked it. The nose pretty quickly. But if you, even though it's a small bottle, anyways, crack it open, share a dram, and then let it sit for a few months, this one got way better with time. So halfway through this bottle, really came into its own, and not only would I buy it again, I went back and bought a couple of these half bottles just to have around. So yes. Now, I liked it so much that I went and got a 12-year-old Dewars, because I thought, wow, I mean, I've seen this on the shelf for crazy pricing, really good, maybe it's worth it. And this isn't bad, you know, as for a blend and for a very affordable blend with an age stamp. This is some pretty decent. Still tends a little bit toward floral, and it somehow it's missing some of the spice that I was getting in the 21-year-old. Maybe that's picking up in that fresh Oloroso finishing at the end. I'm not sure, like that wood spicing, but this one still very affordable, but I'm not exciting enough for me to go and buy it and put it on my shelf again. So I'm not buying it again. Okay, Berry Brothers and Rudd. This is the blended malt, the sherry cask matured, released at 44.2%. You know, I really like this. It's just a regular classic range, and I hear in the UK this is like a grocery store malt. You know, like kind of a fairly affordable, easy to find malt. But I'll tell you, it is blended malt, so there's no grain in here. But this one, I was happy to have on my shelf as something that was clearly sherry matured. Not quite like fresh sherry bomb, but strong sherry that was good in a couple of tastings that I hosted. That sounds silly. I went to a few friends' houses, bought a few bottles. Hosting is not the right word, but the point is, this was a really good illustration to say, and here's the sherry influence. You maybe come off the Deanston 12, then you want to pour something with a lot of sherry. So I liked it, and I would buy it again. I know it's taken me some time, but I like these bottles, and it's easy to keep talking to you guys. Okay, this is my last Scotch. This is Teacher's Highland Cream, 40%, and it says right in the back a high percentage of peated malt from Ardmore. You know, it's okay, and it really perks up with water, and it was very, very affordable. But even at twice the price, and I need to review it for the channel, Ardmore Legacy was more exciting for me. And obviously that's a lot of core, a lot of the heart that beats in here. And this is okay. And this would be a great if you're looking for a peated dram. But to me, it always had, until I watered it, like kind of a sour peat that I didn't like that much. And I don't remember that in past bottlings. So I'm actually probably not buying a Teacher's for another good many years. All right, and I'm going to go through Wrapped Canadians. Yep, just get on in. So, first one, Signal Hill. This is a unique bottling. This one's sourced, but it's non-chill filtered, but somehow released only at 40%. Very interesting. If you like that caramel, but then almost sweeter, so I often say like a maple sugar, but maybe not, maybe like a brown sugar, but you're talking, a fairly sweet whiskey, but that drinks easily. This Signal Hill drinks very easily, and the brand ambassador reached out and said he wanted to talk. Anytime, man, give me a ring. But this stayed just too close to that sweet Canadian. Very smooth, very easy to drink. It didn't excite me enough, even though the presentation is good. There's so much to like. But I'll try this again when they, I don't know. I'm not buying this one anytime soon. Sorry, guys. Wanted to. Really wanted to. Okay, Lowen McKinnon. These guys are Central City Brewing in just south of Vancouver in BC. This is released at 43, I believe. Yeah, 43. And this is just a single malt barley. This is very young. This has to be like 3 years. Exactly. Had a lot of lemon. And it was nice to come back to lot 0001. Wow. It was good to get a sense of their essential malt before they finish it, because they do a lot of unique caskings. I won't buy just this straight up again, but I still like their core in here and would love to see it with a little more age, or as they try it with different kind of wood treatments. I think it will hold up well, because this stays very close to barley, little lemon, but it's fresh. So I'm not buying this again, but I will buy Lowen McKinnon again. This might be a little controversial on the channel. This is Alberta Premium 20-year-old Rye. bottled at 42%. 20-year-old rye from Alberta Distillers. These guys know how to make, in my opinion, some of the best rye in the world. Something about this one was too sweet, fruity. Yeah, there was pepper, but it didn't come in strong, and I don't know. It was almost like soap sweet, and it didn't really get better. Now, the bottle didn't get better, but a viewer, name escapes me, said, try splashing a bit of their cask strength, which is much younger, but cask strength rye. Same place, just a splash in the glass when you're having it, and it really did it. It absolutely changed, and now I have a better understanding of why a lot of blenders, when they release, are like, but we'd like to put a little, 5-year-old rye in there. I'd like to put a little young rye in there because it will just perk it up. Because it really helped. This 20-year-old, I'm glad I bought this and went through it, but I won't buy this bottle again. Oh, I should have pulled this right after the Lowen McKinnon. Very similar. This is Fiddlers Choice, right? This is out east from Nova Scotia. It's a single malt, bottled at 43%. Very similar. Now that I'm thinking about it. In fact, I remember going back and forth with the Central City, and the Central City had a lot more lemon and a lot more fresh notes. This, at first I was like, yeah, this is okay. In the middle, it really came into its own in terms of barley sugars and that barn grain, like that, where you've really got that barley sugars and grain notes, very, very heavy in that cereal notes in the middle, which was creamy and enveloping, and I kind of liked it in the middle for that. Still very, very young, so young. And I'm so glad I got this, and I appreciate the way I was able to wish good things to all the people going through the tragedy this year in Nova Scotia. And I thought of them often drinking this bottle. I'm actually not going to buy this again. It just again is priced pretty high for what it delivers. But if you're looking for what is really young malt, really not strayed far from a lot of, I imagine it's reused casks too. It really felt, anyways, I'm not going to buy this again, guys, sorry. Okay, only a couple left if you're still with me. This is proof whiskey. This is 2 grains. It's rye and wheat, 42%. This was bought on a bit of a whim. It's a Canadian blend and not a distillery. I have never had a whiskey that smelled more like oranges, lemons, grapefruits. No, less lemons, oranges and grapefruits. This had a nose honestly, if they said they artificially flavored, put it in there, I would have guessed it. But the palate on this is like you had to try to hide it. You had to put it in a cocktail with strong enough other ingredients that the nose carried forward and you didn't taste the whiskey, because when you had this as a dram, it was not good. I don't need to buy this again. Last one's one of the JP Weisers. So this is the NHL series. I've talked a bit about all of them. This is Mark Messier. It's 3 grain, 11-year-old, 47%. And I will say it was, okay, and pretty darn good. This got better in that some of that sweetness seemed to settle out a little bit, and more of the rye came up, and I liked it more in the finish, like the finishing of the bottle. Could be because Brad bought himself a bottle, and I think he prefers this to some of my other JP Weiser picks. I'm can easily be swayed by emotion, but I will say this Mark Messier is worth the buy, and I would buy it again. 11-year-old for the pricing they're asking for the NHL series. This adds a nice rice kick, spice or rye kick to some, sweet Canadian spirit. So, thanks. Wow. So I'd buy it again. That was a high number of bottles. And I know I took longer than I usually do, but it's a beautiful day, and it's sure fun to talk whiskey with you guys. Like, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good week, and we'll see you again soon.